Hello and welcome to Ask MandR, episode 292. The series answer your question. If you have a question or topic for next week's episode, leave in the comments section below. And this week's episode is sponsored by our friends at Rakuten, here to save you money on your Lego purchases this Black Friday and holiday shopping season. So we'll talk more about that later. But let's get into it with our first question from Danis. And he says, do you think the Lego market is a joke? After COVID, I can't justify paying a lot of the prices on original sets and minifigs. Scalpers have destroyed the market. So I think there's a real interesting conversation to be had here. Now, do I think the Lego market is a joke? As someone who is very into Lego and has been into it for a long time, simply put, no. Now, when it comes to the second part of your question where you say scalpers have destroyed the market, I think there is a more interesting conversation to be had. And part of this comes down to how you define scalper, because to me, scalper is someone that's like, scalper is always the thing that had come to mind from years and years of sports fandom. And that's like, the set has just come out. It's impossible to find on shelves. They bought it for $40 and now they're trying to sell it for $60 or whatever the case is. To me, that is a scalper. And that is basically the only definition that I think fits the word scalper specifically. Now there's resellers, there's investors, but scalper, I think when you say that, that's what I think of. And I think that people use that word as a catch-all. So I just feel like I have to say that as far as the definitions of words go, because I think it's a little bit different for everyone with this specific stuff. But when it comes to scalpers and resellers with original sets and minifigs, I think that it can be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to be like, hey, yeah, that's the reason they've gone up in value is because other people keep buying them to sell them. And generally, I disagree because I think it's also pretty obvious that there are far more fans that want to buy these original sets and minifigs than did 5 or 10 years ago. There's just way more people into Lego Star Wars now than ever. The supply of the original stuff has not gone up and the demand has gone up drastically. And because of that, the prices have gone up. And I just can't look at that and blame anything else other than a normal market doing what markets do when supply doesn't go up and demand goes up. The price goes up, you know? I learned that in high school economics and I'm just sticking to it. I'm pretty dang sure that's why the price of stuff like the 2013 Z95 Headhunter is what it is at hundreds of dollars. You know, there's just way more people that want it than can possibly buy them because the supply is just so limited at this point because it's 10 years old. And it's important to remember 10 years ago, investing in Lego was not what it is now. Nowadays, I see entire channels and communities dedicated to investing and reselling Lego. And for as much crap as people give resellers of Lego, the fact of the matter is the more people that are investing in and buying Lego, like as a resale asset post-retirement, the better it is for a lot of us 5-10 years down the road, or more specifically, new fans that get into it. So for example, let's say this set came out 10 years ago, maybe now it's worth $200 sealed in box. But because it came out today and a ton of people nowadays buy and invest in Lego, it's not to say no one did it 10 years ago, but substantially more are doing it. You know, maybe 10 years from now, this is only worth $100, $120. And yes, obviously it's gone up in value, but not as much as some of those 2005, 2008, Clone Wars era, Episode 3 era, like those beloved sets. They're beloved, well sought after, and therefore expensive. So yeah, I understand not being able to justify the price on a lot of it. It is absurdly expensive in a lot of cases. The original Kashyyyk Trooper minifigure is like $100 and the set that it came in was $90 when it came out in 2005. There are plenty more examples like that where a single part of a set is worth more than the entire set cost back when it was released. Unfortunately, it's just the reality we're in. And like I said, I understand not being able to justify it. It is very, very expensive nowadays. But they are also releasing tons of new and current sets that you can go and buy instead that offer much better value for your money, although they might not be the OG Kashyyyk Trooper. I'll just keep as my example. Now, where I think scalpers and more specifically market manipulation is having a bigger effect on the price of some of these Lego Star Wars items is on the very higher end, the very rare end. There are different really rare items in the Lego Star Wars world that just are that, really, really rare. And there are people like me that really want to collect them to collect them, have them to have them, and enjoy them in my collection. And there, unfortunately, are people that collect them to collect them, but then also like specifically have a very big ulterior motive to just sell them for much, much higher profit. And so what I have seen going on is you'll see an item sell for like $10,000 and then be immediately relisted for $25,000. I mean, $10,000 is far, far from cheap and affordable for anyone, but we are talking about the rarest of the rare when it comes to Lego Star Wars. But I'm seeing people buy stuff like this and then immediately relist it for $25,000 or something like that. That is not a one-of-one example. There are many things happening like this. And as someone who does like to try and collect some of these rare things, you've taken it from like, maybe one day I can probably pay $10,000 for that thing because I really do want it. Maybe I'll have to sell it later, but whatever, to like, I'm not going to pay $25,000 for that. Just no way, Jose. So I do see that on the higher end of stuff really affecting the market. But overall, everything's just more valuable because more people are into it, and you can point to that for some of the rarer things too. But unfortunately, in some of the cases that I see, I'll see people buy the one or two that exist and then just relist the one or two that exist for double, triple, quadruple the price, whatever. It's really sad to see, and it makes it really hard to collect some of the things that I have really wanted to be able to buy. So hopefully I covered the entire spectrum of plastic Lego there. AJ Mack continues the conversation by asking, what are your thoughts on the Lego Star Wars trading card market? It has seemed to spike somewhat out of nowhere, with some major influencers pushing them at auction, getting ludicrous amounts for them. It seems like a very unsustainable market, but I would like to hear your thoughts on the matter. So I am not an expert in the Lego Star Wars trading card market. I have not been following this entirely too closely. Personally, I've been collecting Lego Star Wars trading cards for 3 or 4 years now, and in the last year, because of Whatnot and my sponsorship with them, I have been selling some cards on there just in a sealed pack, so you don't know what you have until you open it, like you would see in like a sports card, rip or ship was the idea. And it's probably been at least 6 months since I've done that, but in the past month or so, some of the prices on these cards, like he says, have become ludicrous. Recently, on my buddy Maddie's minifigures auction, he sold a Phase 2 Captain Rex card for $495. He sold another one for like $250, maybe $300. That is way more than, what was normal to me 6 months ago. Maybe I would sell a pack for $5 or whatever it was, not one card for $500. So the insane spike in value is quite shocking to me, because I'd made videos about these cards. People have known about these cards. All of a sudden, everyone's spending hundreds of dollars on these cards when they weren't just 3 months ago. Certainly, I can't say I would be upset that my trading cards that I collected for fun are now worth hundreds of dollars more than they were yesterday. Like, why would I be sad about that? I do fear, though, that a lot of the hype around this is not necessarily organic. It's not because a lot of people suddenly found Lego Star Wars trading cards were a thing. People have known these were a thing for 4 years. It just feels like all of a sudden, some of the key players, possibly like you point out, are kind of hyping these up, being like, oh, this one sold for $100. And I don't know who specifically. I know I mentioned Maddie's minifigures earlier. I haven't watched his stream specifically. I don't know what anyone's doing, and I don't want to, put any hate out there for Maddie, because he's a great guy. So don't go hating on people. I don't know, who's involved and if it's actually a bad thing. I'm just saying what I'm kind of the vibe I'm getting from what I've seen from time to time. It might just be something where it's kind of a pump and dump, where it's like, let's hype this thing up, make a bunch of money, and then like we don't really care about these 3 months from now because like the fad dies or whatever. So if you have some Lego Star Wars trading cards, they might be valuable. I guess it just depends on which one you have. I really don't know anything about the values other than the Captain Rex one was selling for hundreds of dollars, and that in and of itself is absurd to me. So I'd love to see some insightful comments from you guys, and I'll certainly check in on some of the streams that are selling trading cards over the next week or so I can get a better vibe for it, and I'll talk about it again next week, because I think it's a really crazy thing that we're watching unfold before our eyes. I mean, literally, we're talking about a card that would have cost you like $5 5 weeks ago, now worth $500 just because. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. LGN says, do you think Lego are moving to a future without instructions and will make it all online? If this happens, will we see a rise in price for instruction booklets? I don't know about the price of instruction booklets. Old ones are old ones. There'll be plenty of them. But I do think this is certainly a move that Lego wants to do. I think they want to go all digital. I want to say Mario already has all digital instruction manuals. They are trying to make this the norm. They want to cut it out. They want to save the money. They want to be as cheap as possible. We've seen this in many places with Lego Star Wars, as we've covered on the channel over the recent years, and getting rid of instruction manuals altogether is certainly going to be one of those moves that Lego wants to make people think is the right thing, even though I think many Lego fans would say it's not, because it's just part of the experience, having that manual in front of you, not having to have your screen pulled up to be able to enjoy a build. And I think this really does matter for kids. I think parents don't want to give their kids their iPad to build a Lego set. I think they want them to be able to give them a Lego set and just build a Lego set. So I think that is probably the one thing that has stopped Lego from doing this. I think if Lego was a all adult item, it'd be gone already. Like, I'm almost 100% sure on that. They would have tried it. In fact, it wouldn't shock me if they tried to make the move getting rid of instruction manuals in all of the 18 plus sets. Like, to me, that's the only thing they could try to rationalize and be like, well, it's for adults, so every adult has a phone or an iPad at this point, and you'll just have to put up with it. Like, I don't mind digital instructions. I use them from time to time. I think they have their value, but I also think having the physical manual is also incredibly valuable too. So I would be very disappointed if it happens, but it's certainly what I think LEGO wants to happen. Fritz says, with the LEGO Fortnite collab approaching soon, do you think we'll receive some more custom weapon molds from LEGO or just brick-built guns? So it depends on what the Fortnite sets are, if they're play sets or if they're adult sets, because like with a game like, I think it's Horizon Zero Dawn, we have a just tall neck, complete adult buildable set, and it's for adults. It's a display set. Like, it's entirely possible that Fortnite sets are builds like a Fortnite llama, and it's just kind of like a buildable character from LEGO Star Wars, where there are no weapons involved whatsoever. So I wouldn't rule out the idea that this is a no minifigure type of lineup. You know, if you release a battle bus, it's a displayable battle bus, not a playable battle bus that includes figures and stuff. So I think that's a possibility. But if they are going to do weapons, there's no way they're going to do some of the Fortnite weapons, because LEGO specifically says they won't do modern military stuff. And Fortnite has weapons that look just like modern military stuff, like an M16, I guess the revolver they make, but that's like, you know, the 1800s or whatever era, you know, so they get away with that, I guess. I think the opportunity is there if it's pre-1900s, but literally anything modern is a no-go. So I just don't expect any weapons there. Will they use Star Wars ones? Probably not, because those are blasters and they shoot lasers, and they probably wouldn't want to use that. I think it's a hard one to answer because LEGO won't do modern military. But it's possible they also make their own like mixture weapons, kind of like they did with Star Wars, where they just kind of had, you know, random looking weapons that are loosely stylized off the movies or the show. And so in Fortnite's case, they could make weapons that are loosely stylized based on what we see in Fortnite, but like maybe they'd be in like special colors, like gold and blue, so that, you know, they're kind of like the ranked weapons in the game, and that would also make them look less realistic. I don't know, just some ideas. Anyway, let's talk about today's sponsor, Rakuten. The holiday shopping season is among us, and Rakuten is a great tool to save you extra money. I recently used it to get an extra 2.5% cash back on an already stellar 30% off on the UCS Republic gunship from Lego.com. Rakuten is the largest cashback site, partnering with over 3,500 of the biggest name brands, so you can get extra cash back when you buy Lego from pretty much anywhere. All you have to do is click through the links on Rakuten and then shop, or use the browser extension so you'll never miss out on the sweet cash back. Rakuten is consistently running specials where certain stores will have bonus cash back, so keep your eyes on it throughout the holiday season, because you never know when the store you've been waiting to shop at might just have 3 times its normal cash back. Now, for a limited time until November 16th, when you click the link in the description below, you'll get a bonus $40 cash back with your first qualifying purchase of $40 or more. That could literally mean a free Republic fighter tank for your collection. It's just a no-brainer to sign up for Rakuten today. Again, link below. Back to the questions. Noelle wants to know if the new standard is me putting out reviews before the LEGO Ambassador Network gets the chance. Love the videos. Keep up the great content. Well, thank you, Noelle. I appreciate that. And the intention is always to get out the first review of whatever LEGO set I'm reviewing. I like to be first. I've always tried to be first when I can. From Mason says, do you think LEGO should make any UCS sets at a low price? They would still be high quality, but they will be at a lower price, and the set wouldn't be as big. So I think MIDI scale is a very obvious answer to your desire. Like, it just gives you what you want. It's a very nice displayable set at not $240. It's less than a third of the price of the cheapest UCS set. And it's, to me, for all intents and purposes, a small UCS set. I think that's the whole idea, I guess, without a minifigure, unlike the UCS sets of today, but I think that's a fine trade-off at the end of the day. I think it's pretty clear that LEGO doesn't want to brand anything formerly $200, now $240 as a UCS set. I think it is an interesting idea, though, for LEGO to do some smaller UCS-style sets, because I think the N1 Starfighter from 2002 is such a great concept. It's not a MIDI scale set, because MIDI scale, to me, infers that it is smaller than its playset counterparts, and the N1 Starfighter is not smaller than the other playsets by any significant margin. All of the MIDI scale sets that you can see up there are significantly smaller than any other version of them, but they're also, like, substantially bigger than a mini version, hence they're in the middle. But I do think when the term UCS gets applied, it could still be applied to things. I think a build like the Royal Naboo Starship with a chromed out look could fit a UCS line, even if it wasn't a big $240 set, but because it's chromed, it still is an ultimate collector set. Because in what makes it ultimate? The chrome. That's what made that Naboo Starfighter ultimate, and that's what set it apart. So I think there's like a small, slim thing that could still fit UCS that isn't $240, but also like that's just not where LEGO's branding on it is today, and I don't really see them changing that. So I would love to see some stuff like that. But midi scale is really where I think Lego is going with that sort of market for the not $200 UCS sets. Brian says, do you think they'll make a UCS Arc 170 Starfighter? I think that 2025 is a real opportunity for some UCS sets from Revenge of the Sith as anniversary sets. I would be very shocked if there wasn't one, but hopefully they will release two. And I've always thought of the Arc 170 as fitting that $240 UCS price point for May the 4th. And I still really think it should and does, but wouldn't it be really dope? This is just a total pipe dream because there's no way they'd ever do this, but Arc 170 and another set, so these are two separate sets. I've talked about this other set, an Anakin and Obi-Wan Starfighter UCS set. So 2 in 1, call it $300, and then you do an Arc 170 releasing alongside that on May the 4th. Like, bro, that's the best way to celebrate the episode 3 anniversary, because that is the space battle at the beginning of the movie. I doubt they'd do the separatist ships from the other side of things, Tri-Droid and Vulture Droid as UCS builds, but I think there's real potential for an Arc 170, Anakin, and Obi-Wan Starfighter in 2025. And, fingers crossed. Honestly, it's probably already been decided if it will release in 2025 or not, but I think regardless, by the end of the decade, we'll have a UCS Arc 170 Starfighter. It's the only other flying clone trooper ship. Obviously, we had the gunship that I think is basically a lock as a UCS set. The Rail Fan Man says, do you think Lego should stop putting minifigures in UCS sets? I think that they should, since you're paying for the build and not the figures. Plus, most UCS sets aren't minifigure scale. So we'll go section by section as far as minifigure scale goes. I mean, you're right. Most UCS sets don't play with minifigs. Now, most sets in general are 1-to-1 figure scale, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. You're just talking about having the ability or the, idea that minifigures should be placed in the cockpit. Like, obviously, the Z95 Penhunter might not be 1-to-1, but it's made to have a minifigure going there versus like the UCS gunship is not made to have a minifigure go in the cockpit, although they could fit. It's just way larger than, fits a figure. Now, where I'll obviously disagree is the idea that you're paying for the build, not the figures. You are paying for both. And I think this like super contrarian idea about minifigures not mattering only became a thing, interestingly enough, because Lego asked what minifigures people wanted in the UCS gunship and then didn't listen. And so all of a sudden people are like, well, minifigs don't matter. You're paying for the build. Quit your crying about minifigures. When the reality is like all of it is part of the experience, whether the set is $5 or $500. People that buy the things, whether again, it's $5 or $500, want to enjoy a good version of that thing for their money. I think there's a lot of great reasons that minifigs should be in UCS sets, especially for Lego Star Wars, a theme that allegedly will never get a collectible minifigure line. So like more opportunities for minifigures, the better. Obviously, even the play sets get slimmed down on the number of minifigs. So like wherever we can get minifigs, I'm taking them. If tomorrow they decided midi scale sets should have a figure, while I don't think they need a figure, what am I going to do? Say no? It's more value for your money. And that's how I look at minifigs in a UCS set, as well as the idea that they can be just better versions of characters that we may have in other sets. And you also have to think of it as an all-in-one buying experience. There are UCS buyers that want to buy their UCS set and not have to buy a microfighter or a mech or another $70 set that includes the figure to be able to have the figure that goes with the ship, If you bought the UCS A-Wing for $200, you shouldn't have to go buy another smaller A-Wing for $30 to be able to have the one figure to go with your ship. You should just get it with your ship. And that's what Lego does. And that's what I think is so great about it. Another reason is that sets aren't always sold at the same time. There might not be an A-Wing pilot available in another set at the same time a UCS A-Wing is available. Sure, someday they will eventually make another A-Wing pilot, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't have an A-Wing pilot in the UCS A-Wing. It should be in both. They definitely shouldn't remove them from UCS sets. The backlash would be immense. You'd be getting less for your money. We'd have less opportunity for cool characters in Lego Star Wars sets. Like the figures are also part of the display. They go very nicely and beautifully next to the display plaque. It's one of the better moves they've made with UCS sets was adding figures in, because we've gotten so many cool variants of figures that we wouldn't have had otherwise. We don't have a TIE pilot with arm printing without the UCS TIE fighter coming with a TIE pilot with arm printing, I think stuff like that over the years adds up, and it's cool to have that sort of thing that is unique or is just a top tier version of a character. Hawthorne Brick says, do you think the Avengers Tower is good for 13-year-olds? I'm trying to find my son a Christmas gift, something to keep him occupied. He has ADHD and I want something that will keep him busy for some time. So I'm not 100% familiar with the specific effects of ADHD. However, the only thing that I could think maybe has something that you would want to stay away from is this does have like 270 windows. So you're like building the same thing a lot. if that is something he wouldn't like, then I think it's a stay away. Otherwise, I know it's an 18 plus set and that's what it says on the box, but I do think the build is like really simple. It's just bricks. There's not a lot of technique. It's bricks, plates. You're just building a lot. And the 18 plus is really a marketing thing. This set really is like a 14-year build skill level. So a 13-year-old should be more than, able to do it, I think. And if you saw my review, it also has a ton of small, fun Easter eggs. And depending on his level of Marvel fandom, he may pick up on some of them or he may not. There's also a lot of stickers. I don't know if that matters to you either. There's like 50 or 60 stickers in the set, so that's also a thing. I just tried to cover some of the bullet points there for you, but I think it's a great gift if none of what I said deters you. I think that's amazing that you're going to buy your son a set like that for Christmas. That's incredible. So if he ends up getting it, I hope he really enjoys it because I think it's a fantastic model of the Avengers Tower, and it's something that I think he will enjoy for decades to come, as long as he doesn't age out of Lego in high school. It happens. You can't avoid it sometimes, but the Avengers Tower is amazing. But if you end up doing that, good on you. That's an amazing gift to give. Next question from Tom says, so besides the sets behind you, you don't have any other sets sitting out on display? No, I have a lot more display in my house, and I'm working on getting more display stuff set up. I can't remember if I've showed this yet or not, but over there, I have set up a ton more sets on shelves, including some of my rarer Lego Star Wars items. And so that display is coming together quite nicely, although I still haven't been able to plug in the lights on the other side of the display. But yeah, that's part of my display stuff. And then in the workroom, I have a ton more sets on display with more very similar white shelf layout and like the Harry Potter Gringotts set. Like there's a ton more sets on display in there. I don't keep any Lego on display in my bedroom. I do have some Lego upstairs, but it's mostly sealed sets up there. The intention is to have some display shelving up there, maybe for some of my bigger UCS sets, like the UCS Falcons, when I eventually build them, would probably fit pretty nicely up there. And then I do have a little bit of Lego on display downstairs. I've shown this before, the UCS AT-AT on the ground. And then I've got the Space Shuttle on a little coffee table down there, since I don't care if it gets dusty either. But that's kind of my simple Lego display. And keep an eye out soon. I'll have a house tour. I've been working on trying to get everything cleaned up. It's not going to be like perfect. I've been falling into the toolbox fallacy with my house tour. I've realized I'll just, if I keep waiting, I'll just wait forever because I'll be like, well, I want to do this thing and I want to do that thing. I'm going to have that house tour out within a month, and I'm very excited to share with you everything that I've done and used for my workspace in this house. I think you guys will find a lot of it very interesting. But our final comment comes from Hemlock Falls, who says, oh man, thanks for answering my question about your stickers on your video. I didn't expect that. That made my day. And I think for the first time in my life, obviously I've been doing this series for like 6 years and picking people's questions every week, but I never really knew what it felt like to like have that excitement of like, oh, you picked my question, until this week. But basically there's this Call of Duty YouTuber named Call of Shame. He makes videos like calling out people that he thinks cheats on the game or whatever. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I do find it to be just enjoyable, consumable content about Call of Duty. And about a week ago, following the launch of Modern Warfare 3, I got put in a lobby with a very big Twitch streamer named Symphony. He had maybe like 10,000 live viewers at the time, and he's a pretty good player. And me and my buddy Jared just went off. I think I went 52-22 against his team. I was just frying. My buddy Jared was frying. Symphony thought Jared was cheating, which was really funny to me. Maybe he didn't think he was cheating, but he was definitely like pausing to watch Jared's kill cam specifically, which was just hilarious to me. And so while us just going off on Symphony and his team didn't make Symphony's channel, it did end up making this Call of Shame channel. And my buddy Beaver sent me the video, and I was just over the moon, smiling ear to ear about me being in this video, because it's me and Jared just yelling at him at the end of the game, and you can hear me being like, best Lego Star Wars YouTuber, insert the clip.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Daniel, so.
Yeah, yo, go put this LMG on and then talk please. Bro, you guys are using the holder like you're in the CDL. It's the best gun of the game. Use something else. Level up some other guns. Level up some other guns.
MandRproductions YouTube, best Lego Star Wars YouTuber.
Bro, you're so low on the list, I won't be able to find that.
So as you saw in the clip, I told him in his chat I was the best Lego Star Wars YouTuber, and then he was like, oh, you're so low on the list, no one will find you. And so I had to tell him how many subs I had, and it made him smile, which I was just laughing at. But I was just really excited to have made it into another YouTuber's video, and so like I now totally see the excitement of like having your question answered. I just, for whatever reason, could never relate to that because I had never had that experience myself. And now I have had something similar and I was just excited about it and I wanted to share it with everyone I could because it's just exciting to me. So if you guys want to watch me play Call of Duty on Twitch, that's MandR Games on Twitch. If you want to check out today's sponsor, that's Rakuten. Make sure you click the link in the description, get your bonus $30 cash back today. And if you have a question or topic for next week, leave it down in the comments section below. See ya.